It was a quiet Friday afternoon when my mom zipped up her suitcase, kissed my forehead, and told me she'd be back by Sunday evening. She was flying out to Atlanta for a work conference, something she'd been looking forward to for weeks. I wasn't particularly excited to be alone, but at 18, I figured I could handle a weekend to myself. My mom had left a list of emergency contacts, some prepped meals in the fridge, and a warning to keep the doors locked at all times. After waving her off in the cab, I threw myself on the couch and started flipping through channels. The house suddenly felt much bigger without her in it. My mom and I had been on our own for a long time until she met Mike, who became my stepdad 2 years ago. Mike was decent. He wasn't the overly affectionate type, but he always made sure we had what we needed. He and Mom weren't married legally, but they lived like they were. Still, he didn't live with us full-time. He had a house about 40 minutes away and spent weekends or holidays with us depending on both their schedules. When they fought, which wasn't often, he'd disappear for weeks. I didn't expect to see Mike that weekend, but around 7 p.m., just as I was heating up some lasagna, I heard a knock on the door. I paused, unsure whether to open it. My mom had told me not to answer the door for anyone unless I was expecting them. But then I heard Mike's voice through the door, calm and familiar. "Hey, it's just me. Thought I'd check in since your mom's out of town." I opened the door, feeling a little uneasy, but relieved it wasn't a stranger. Mike was dressed casually in jeans and a plain black tee. He held a bag of groceries in one hand and a six-pack in the other. "Brought snacks," he said with a grin. I stepped aside, and he walked in like he belonged there. "Did Mom ask you to come by?" I asked, trying to read his expression. He shook his head. "No, just thought it'd be good for someone to check in on you. I called your mom earlier, told her I might stop by. She was fine with it." That made me feel a bit better. I sat at the kitchen counter while he unpacked chips, soda, and a frozen pizza. "You eating that lasagna tonight?" he asked, pointing at the dish in the oven. "Yeah," I replied. "It's just about done." "All right. I'll save the pizza for tomorrow then." After dinner, we watched a movie together in the living room. It was one of those old action flicks Mike loved, loud explosions, over-the-top stunts, and cheesy one-liners. We laughed at the ridiculous scenes, and for a moment it felt normal, almost like we were family. Mike wasn't usually this easygoing. He had a gruff personality and often kept to himself. But that night, he seemed lighter. "I'm gonna crash on the couch if that's okay," he said as the credits rolled. "Don't feel like driving back this late." I shrugged. "Sure, it's fine." I headed to my room and texted Mom to let her know Mike was staying over. She responded with a thumbs-up emoji and told me to let her know if I needed anything. That gave me peace of mind. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of bacon and eggs. I found Mike in the kitchen cooking breakfast like he owned the place. He looked up and said, "Hope you're hungry." We ate in silence for a bit until I asked, "You really don't have anywhere else to be this weekend?" Mike laughed. "Nope. No plans. Your mom usually keeps me pretty busy, but with her gone, guess I got some free time." We spent the day doing little things. He helped me fix the loose cabinet door in the kitchen, then we cleaned out the garage. It wasn't exciting, but it kept us both occupied. By the end of the day, we were exhausted. I made us sandwiches for dinner, and we sat on the porch as the sun dipped below the trees. "Ever think about what you want to do after school?" Mike asked. I nodded. "Maybe community college first, then transfer." "I'm not sure yet." He sipped his drink. "Smart plan. No rush to figure it all out now. You've got time." I appreciated that he didn't pressure me the way some adults did. Mike had this laid-back vibe when he wasn't working or stressed. We talked about life, about Mom, and about how he ended up working in construction. I realized I didn't know as much about him as I thought. That night, he took the guest room instead of the couch. It was nice having someone else in the house. It didn't feel so empty anymore. Sunday morning came, and Mike made pancakes. He seemed to enjoy cooking, which surprised me. We laughed over breakfast, and when I spilled syrup on my pajama pants, he tossed me a dish towel and told me I was hopeless in the kitchen. Later, he drove out to the store while I cleaned up. He came back with fresh flowers for my mom. "She'll be home tonight," he said. "Might as well make the place look nice." It was a thoughtful gesture. When Mom got home that evening, She was surprised but happy to see Mike. The house smelled like vanilla candles, and everything was spotless. She hugged me first, then gave Mike a long, warm kiss. "Thanks for keeping an eye on her," she said. Mike smiled. "Anytime." After unpacking, Mom settled into the couch while Mike poured her a glass of wine. I retreated to my room, letting them have their moment. I could hear them talking and laughing through the door. It felt like a movie scene, a picture of normalcy that I hadn't seen in a while. In the weeks that followed, Mike started coming around more often. He helped out with small repairs, cooked dinner a few nights a week, and even offered to teach me how to drive. I saw a different side of him, one that was steady, supportive, and quietly caring. Maybe he was trying harder now because he saw what it meant to be part of our lives. One afternoon, a few months later, Mike and I were in the garage trying to build a shelf unit. We were halfway through when he looked at me and said, "I wasn't around much when your mom first introduced us. I didn't know where I fit in. But you've grown up good, you know that?" I was caught off guard. "Thanks," I said. "You're not so bad yourself." He laughed and we got back to work. That small conversation stuck with me, though. It was the first time I felt like Mike really saw me, not just as his girlfriend's daughter, but as a person. By the time summer rolled around, Mike and Mom were talking about moving in together permanently. I had mixed feelings. Part of me liked having my own space with Mom, but I also couldn't ignore the stability Mike brought. They eventually found a bigger house just outside town. I got my own room, a bigger one, and even picked out the paint color. The night before we moved, Mike knocked on my door. "You ready for this new chapter?" I nodded. "Yeah, I think so." He looked at me with something like pride in his eyes. "Good. 'Cause you're stuck with me now." I smiled. Guess I could do worse. Looking back, that weekend when my mom was away changed everything. It was a small moment in time that reshaped our relationship. It wasn't about grand gestures or dramatic events. It was the quiet, steady presence of someone showing up when you didn't expect them to, and staying even when they didn't have to. Mike didn't have to come over that weekend, but he did. And in doing so, he started becoming more than just Mom's boyfriend. He became a part of our family, a part one didn't know we needed, but one I was glad we found.